my, I won't say young, good friend. Well, he's more than a friend. He's like a brother, Deepak Bagla. Our distinguished Mr. Sahasra Abudhe, and the guest of honor of the evening, Mr. Matsumoto. I do not intend to speak more than 4 or 5 sentences, because you have heard 2 or 3 very inspiring speeches. I am not in a position to inspire you any further. And of course, Mr. Matsumoto gave you a very, very valuable gift, I think, which would stand all of you in good stead. I believe it should stand this institution in good stead for a long period of time. As a kind of part of this institution for the last many years, and as one who has had the opportunity to watch how it has been progressing under the great leadership of Mr. Bansal, I can assure Mr. Matsumoto that this association would be beneficial to both Japanese industry, Japanese academia, and India. And of course, we are still an aspiring nation in many ways, in terms of many areas of activity which we call progress in the material sense. India has got to do a lot of catching up, and Japan in many ways is or could be our model. I was talking to my young friend who brought me from to this place, that the one most important thing that we can learn from the Japanese is their sense of discipline and sense of duty. I have had the privilege of knowing a large number of Japanese executives and diplomats and others, and what distinguishes them from others is the patience with which they learn things. Even if it is to prepare for a meeting, the attention to the details which they give is enormous. You have to see it to believe it. Well, in India we take decisions fairly fast and we think maybe later on, but in the case of the Japanese, they take a fairly good time to understand, to learn what it is all about, and then only jump into it. And once they are in it wholeheartedly, and they will make sure that it succeeds. I think in the presence of our distinguished Matsumoto-san, I wanted to mention this much only to the young, the young professionals who are coming out of this institution. And one other very, very small point, while Deepak and others were talking us about what we have achieved, and and the great opportunity that you in today's world have before you, remember that there is another side to this also. That while the population in the rural areas is coming down, large number of them are moving to the cities in search of employment. The kind of problems that we are facing today are also really, really unprecedented. So we have to balance these two sides, and most of the time we are all human beings. We are all, permit me to say, we are fairly selfish human beings, and most of the time you march ahead and leave behind a large number of our own brothers and sisters, if we like to call them, a large number of people. That is the other side of India even today. And it needs a very, very great lot of catching up for these people particularly. And all what I want to mention to my young friends is that while they reach the heights of professional achievements or glory and reach higher and higher levels of performance and remuneration corresponding to that, we have to be mindful of this large majority of the people living in poverty, ignorance, disease. I think that cannot be the story of India for a long time to come. Even from a very selfish point of view, you cannot have a country in which the majority are below the poverty line and a handful of people, handful in the larger sense of the population of India, reaching very high levels of prosperity. So my young friends, when you reach higher and higher levels of performance, achievements, think of those who have been left behind, most of them perhaps for no fault of theirs. Just as many of you get opportunities today, which were denied to people who are 20 or 30 years younger to you. There is such a generation in India today. So spare a thought for them and do well. You have got a very, very inspiring kind of a situation today where we see the country leaping forward in every way, every minute. At the top levels, whether it is in industry or finance or innovation, you have Indians. We legitimately are proud of them. But at the same time, let's remember that there's a large majority of people who are denied this opportunity, perhaps for no fault of theirs. Friends, I have nothing to add except to say, spare a thought for them also. May God bless you.